Hello, everyone, and welcome to Locked On Guardians. I am one of your co-hosts on the show, Jeff Ellis. We are going to get into this big win. Did the whole series shift today? How are you feeling? You have to be feeling a lot better with the way things are set up. We're going to get into the game. We are going to preview Game 3 on today's Locked On Guardians.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Locked On Guardians. I am one of your co-hosts on the show, Jeff Ellis. Before joining Locked On, I was a draft and prospect analyst at Scott 24/7, and before that, I wrote for a myriad of Cleveland sports blogs. Justin, where do they know you from?
Yeah, I'm Justin Latta. I'm the new co-host. Not so new anymore, I guess. But yeah, I've crossed paths with Jeff just about everywhere. Fan Sided, ESPN, Sweet Spot, Burning River Baseball, Indians Baseball Insider, now Guardians Baseball Insider, where I'm the editor-in-chief, formerly the News Herald, still sort of with the News Herald, covering the Guardians minor leagues. And now I'm here with you, Jeff, and I am ready. I've had a great day. Guardians win. I just went and saw my favorite band play, and I'm amped. I'm ready to go.
I'll just be honest of everyone. I am excited and happy about the game, but you can definitely hear the head cold, I am sure. So yeah, just head cold warning. Like, let's put it out there. I'm going to sound weird, and I'm going to do my darndest to not cough into the mic. But as we know, even when I don't have a bad head cold, it's not always the easiest thing. Speaking of things that haven't been easy, offensive performance has not been easy for this team to come by. High strikeouts have been a big problem. We discussed the need to work counts, and we'll get into some guys who really work counts today and helped get Cortes out of this game early. And I got to give credit, I was sitting here after one of our shows, and I can't remember if we made it on the show or not, but we were talking about, Cortes has had these 2 starts, and who has played well? It's Amed. And I believe Amed was one of his earliest home runs of the year, like his 3rd or something, came off Cortes. Isn't that correct, Justin? He had another one today.
Yeah, it was July 4th weekend. It was I think it was a doubleheader they lost. They got destroyed in the first game, but early on he hit a home run in that game. And it wasn't the same pitch, but it was a 4-seam fastball. It was in that game at Progressive Field, it was middle. And today it was a little bit down more, but that was a heck of a poke. It was over 400 feet. It was to one of the deeper parts of the ballpark. So it was not a Mickey Mouse home run. It was a legitimate home run. And it was a big one because it tied things at 2.
Yeah, it was, I have to say, there was part of me as I'm watching this game, teaching, and then peeking my head over, teaching, every few batters going, it's you hit your points where kids are working, you can kind of peer at stuff. And that first inning was a little dispiriting just because they had the great setup, you're feeling good, and then, can't remember if it was a fly out or a pop up. I don't think it was a strikeout. And then the weird double play. And then they come around and get, the runs weren't right away in this one. They were in the first. So it was, and 2-0 felt huge at that point in time. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't think of a worse start, just to lay that out there. It's kind of amazing for this team to have finally broken through after having every reason to be down. They're facing a really tough matchup. They're facing a very good team. They have struggled, and then the first inning goes off the rails, and somehow, they find it in them to recover.
Yeah, and the first inning again, too, Cleveland had 2 on and nobody out. It was Quan with the bunt single, and then Rosario slaps one to the right side for a hit. They have 2 on, nobody out, and then, Jose flies out, and then, it's done. It's just a double play. Gonzalez lines out. That was I don't know. I don't want to say it was backbreaking right away, but it felt like it because it was another instance where the Guardians had runners on, it didn't capitalize, and then the next inning, at the bottom half of the inning, is the home run. You're like, man, they let two runners on base with nobody out again, and they just give a 2-run homer in the first inning. That's about as bad as it could get, right? No, I guess not as bad, but it's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad. And they wouldn't get a hit after that until the 4th inning when they get a run across. But in between the first and the 4th, in my opinion, someone who's a bit of an unsung hero in this game, I haven't seen as much talk about it, is Austin Hedges. Listen, Hedges has not been good. You know, we don't need to put anything else on it. We all know, like, he is getting pinch hit for late for a reason, even when he's having a good day. But a pair of walks today, keeping things going. And there was, I think it was with Hedges and Straw, where Hedges saw like 9 pitches and Straw saw, 16 pitches between 2 hitters in one inning. Nestor Cortes only threw 92. He was out of there through 5. That's huge. It's what we've talked about, like needing to see a few more pitches. This Yankees bullpen is not deep. It got used heavily. And part of that is, you know, again, kudos to Hedges, pair of walks and working counts, not making it easy this whole day for the opposing team. And
not that it's going to be a show up in the box score, not that it made a difference when it did happen, because Jonathan Loaisiga was good again against them. But even in the at-bat where Hedges struck out swinging, he saw 6 pitches. Like he would have walked. He did swing at ball 4, I think, in that at-bat. But yeah, the guy saw what, 8, 15, and then so he saw 21 pitches and 3 at bats. That's an average of 7 in a bat. That's fantastic. At least that's what you had to do. You had to drive pitch counts up. You had to get in the bullpen, and they did that. It took them a while, but that was the most important thing, was to start getting into the bullpen. And they didn't do it by scoring runs, but they at least did it with the pitch count, which I'm surprised by. Let me ask you this. We didn't plan for this. This is going to throw you off a little bit, but Aaron Boone made some really interesting decisions. Like, I think at 93 pitches facing Owen Miller, Andres Gimenez, and Austin Hedges, I would have left Nestor Cortes to go out for the 6th inning. I don't know why he decided he had to start the inning with Luis Trevino at that part of the order with 93. I think you could have because Cortes is not coming back this series. Most likely, he's not going to pitch again. If he does, he's going to give you like an inning in Game 5 if it gets there. I would have let him go against the bottom of the order, but he decided to go to Trevino, and it didn't make a difference. But it was 1 inning earlier, and he had to bring a reliever in. So, and Trevino did not get through that inning. He walked Gimenez, and then Gimenez stole second, and they decided to go to Loaisiga, and Loaisiga was good. I think he went an inning and 2/3. He was fantastic, but you know, he could have saved Loaisiga a little bit later in the game and maybe not had to go to Jameson Taillon. So what do you think about that?
You know, we talked about the idea of the 3 times through the order, but this is not the meat of the order. And, you know, you're sitting there. Owen Miller, we talked about, is one of the 25 worst hitters in baseball this year. Bringing in anyone to face him. And then when you bring in a righty instead of the lefty in that situation, it's like, again, do they not do their research? Do they not know that he hits righties much better than lefties? Do they not realize that, like, you're going up against a part of the lineup that is, you know, Gimenez's split isn't as bad, but it is still there. Like, he definitely hits righties better than lefties. I agree. In this specific case, it's not like we're talking about the top of the order. It's not like we're talking a 3rd time through, you know, the middle of the order. Miller, Gimenez, and Hedges, it's a little weird. Yeah, I don't understand the timing there. And unless they have some plan where they think they're going to be able to get more than an inning out of him, I don't know. But, you know, we can get into James Taillon as well. You know,
left Louis Licky in the bullpen too today.
Yeah,
Louis Licky. I don't know why we didn't see him either, but you'll take it.
They didn't use him in Game 1 either, right? So they've been leaning into Peralta instead. But going into like throwing, and then to me, like, it was James Taillon. It's the first time he's ever had a relief appearance. His first time he's ever pitched in the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's not also a strikeout guy.
No, and he's also I thought their best candidate to be a Game 4 starter, or Game 5 starter, I should say, and they burned him. Like, you know, there's a lot of weirdness to that, and that's one of those things. Like I said, we'll maybe in segment 2 talk more about pitching, but before we end this first segment here, let's, you know, we talked about the home run. We talked about how the 4th inning was a weird inning of manufacturing, just because it was Naylor hit, Miller single off the lefty. I don't think we expect to see that. And then Gimenez, I believe, has a runs created plus like 110 or 116 against lefties. It's not bad. So that's not that surprising. but Naylor and Miller are pretty futile against lefties. But let's jump ahead. Let's talk about the 10th here before we take our first sponsor break. And, you know, A, we talked about the weirdness of Tyon. B, the Yankees. I mean, you could have played the Benny Hill music to some of those outfield decisions being made. Like
Bonanza or something. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just, it was like between Jose being able to advance to third. Harrison Bader is an excellent center fielder. That might be the first misplay I've ever seen him make. And
I think that was Cabrera in IKF. It was the left field.
Oh, for Jose. I meant for Oscar, or was that?
For Naylor's double.
Naylor's double. Yeah. That was it.
Yeah. I wonder how much the sun affected that too. I mean, he did not take a good route to that. You're right, 100%. But is there anybody else in baseball who's on third base besides Jose Ramirez on that play? Like
he was just and that's the thing. Like one of the things you always have to give this team credit for is like they charge out of the box, and you know we have seen, especially down the stretch, a lot of times where other teams know that, and it forces errors. Like teams rush it, and you know,
especially with him on the bases.
Yeah, and with him, I mean that was he turned. So you have that, and then the Donaldson threw the ball. So you had, you know, the second baseman with the awkward ankle. Donaldson with the bad throw, and then the next hitter is Naylor's double, right?
No, it's Gonzalez's single is next.
Single, okay, and the
infield's pulled in because of that, yes. So that helps out Gonzalez.
But then you still get Naylor up there in that situation, and then where Bader takes a bad route, and it was just like it was. It felt it wasn't gifted because I mean these guys made legit contact, but
especially Naylor,
yeah, it's like those were going to fall in most situations, but it certainly helped. Like, I mean, there's a world where maybe the Naylor double scores a run instead of being, you know,
right.
Gonzalez. Like if Jose doesn't get to third, so it's hustle, it's talent. But one of the things you got to love with this team is the hustle factor. And I mean, we saw it again. And the way that's set up, and Oscar Gonzalez has had some bad swings in this game. And even in that at bat, but
his approach, yeah.
You know, he even when he has those bad swings, it's not like the great thing about Oscar is it doesn't throw him off. He comes back and, you know, I'm not saying every time he's going to have the big hit, but I mean, he has been ice cold in this. I mean, in the positive way. Like, I mean, it's just when it's these big moments, it's the second time he's had the steal something else from hockey. I mean, he had the game-winning RBI instead of the game-winning goal, but I mean, he knocked it across.
And give credit to Gimenez too. I mean, that single really broke the string of them not getting hits third in scoring position. It wasn't a pretty single. It wasn't really all that hard hit. He reached out and he just slapped it to right field, and just got to feel like that probably eased a lot of tension in that dugout, just trying to get that first hit. So
they were what, 0 for 13 or 14 at that point?
0 for 14, yeah. It was ugly.
But I mean, you go through and it's like, not only did they only strike out 8 times, but they walked 5 times. And I feel like that's got to be a high for the postseason as well. And yes, a win to extra innings that gave them more opportunities, but they had no walks in the extra frame. So
they cut down on strikeouts. That was the important thing for them to play and win their style of baseball. They had to stop striking out, and they finally did. That was huge. So
yeah, no, they did everything well. So it's like I said, it was a complete improvement. Multiple players with multiple hits, cut back on the strikeouts, increase the walks. But we should take a quick commercial break, come back, and we're going to talk about the pitching, which has been consistently brilliant. That bullpen has been every bit the weapon we thought it would be.
Absolutely. Yes, today's bonus episode sponsor is betonline.net, your number one source for football betting and all betting this season. Find all the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth articles and analysis on every game you could find. As always, BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information with live betting, up-to-the-minute scores for every sport out there, the fastest and easiest way to check all of your favorite games and events, including Major League Baseball, MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to BetOnline or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline is where the game starts. And looking at BetOnline, Jeff, Yankees are favored again in Game 3, -155 or -155, and Guardians +135. We'll see how that shifts. But Yankees favored in Game 3. That is really interesting to see because now I think things are kind of a toss-up. And this is the one pitching matchup where Cleveland has the advantage for the last time in the series, I think.
Yeah, this would be one of those times where it's if you're the person who does that type of thing, I feel good heading into this Game 3 situation. Very good. Like Tristan McKenzie has been, Shane Bieber was at the end of the year top 5 across most advanced pitching categories. But if you wanted to sit down and argue and say Tristan McKenzie was this team's best pitcher, I wouldn't fight it. Like, I mean, I think they've been basically 1A and 1B. You can argue the order, and that's a huge advantage because, Severino was very good this year. Don't get me wrong, but you wonder when the arm's going to get tired. Like, he hasn't pitched more than 20 innings in 3 years?
It's been a while. Yeah, he has. Yeah, if I look at the standard here on StatCast, 102 this year, 6 last year, 12 in 2019. He didn't pitch in 2020. So he had 18 innings the last 3 years before coming into this year. So definitely shaky. And if you're into prop betting too, I would suggest if you want to bet on the Guardians to win, bet them to score 4 runs because that's the formula to win this season. I said before the game today, I tweeted, I said, Yankees have been held to under 3 runs 69 times this year. They went 20 and 49 in those instances. Cleveland scored exactly 4 runs 25 times this year. They scored 4 runs the most times out of any other score they've had this season. They were 17-8, and they were 18-1 this season when they scored 4 runs or more for Shane Bieber. So 4 runs is the magic number for Cleveland. I think you trust their pitching to hold New York to at least 3 runs to give you a chance to win.
The bullpen was brilliant, to give up a run and everything. I mean, how good do you think Trevor Stephan felt with his coming from New York, being kind of a forgotten man and getting the 4 strikeouts in his 4 innings?
He struck out every batter he faced, and he did it. I want to say he faced the heart of the order, did he not? He came in the 6th, right?
End of the 6th, beginning of the 7th. He got the final out. In the 6th.
Yeah. He strikes out Matt Carpenter, who had a good at bat and is I know he's been hurt. And how good for Cleveland that it looks like Matt Carpenter is really only healthy enough to be a pinch hitter. He can't DH, so that's important. Then he struck out Bader. So Carpenter, Bader, who did a home run off of Quantrill, but Aaron Judge and Rizzo, he got striking out. That's huge. That's a massive. He's had a great postseason so far. Trevor Stephan,
all of our concerns, and then he just apparently he's fine. Like, he couldn't find the splitter, but I will gladly take that he couldn't find the splitter.
Well, he got Rizzo to chase one, thankfully.
Yeah, but it's like, I'm glad he had his struggles then. Like, he got it out of his system. But good old 99 had some control issues. Do you think the cold weather is affecting him? I have a longtime listener who's got a theory on 99 and cold weather.
He went to Bryant. That's in Rhode Island. He pitched in cold weather in college. I don't think that's a thing. Sorry. It's not that cold. And everybody, what was the temperature today was 68 degrees in New York. It was not cold. So no, sorry, doesn't work. I don't think so. And to be fair, he had Giancarlo Stanton struck out. We don't have to spend a lot of time on this, but the home plate umpire was bad. It was bad. I'm sorry.
It's not been
on both sides.
And both sides, there's definitely some pitches on both sides. It's the umpiring has left a lot to be desired at home plate in this series, in my opinion. It's only been 2 games, but I thought it's rather poor. And to be fair, even going back to that Tampa series, I thought that Cleveland's framing ability was highly shown. Like, you got to see so many pitches at the bottom of the zone, but Clase. I mean, we're not seeing him tomorrow, or today when you're listening, I should say. But he's, in New York, showing why he is best reliever in baseball.
He is the best reliever left, I would say, in the postseason. I mean, everyone wanted to say Edwin Diaz was maybe better, but I'll take Clase. Yeah, that was some huevos that it took there for Emmanuel Clase to start to finish the 8th off. And with James Karinchak's mess, even though he did have a situation,
right?
Yeah, again, it was against who did he come in and strike out in the 8th inning? He struck out, or he didn't strike out. He got Kyle Higashioka to line out, and then comes back in the 9th inning and gets Bader, Judge, Rizzo, and Torres. And then, yeah, they take the lead, and then they throw him out there. He got 7 outs today?
Yeah.
I had to go back and look, and I had to what Andrew Miller did in the postseason.
How about
in 2016? Yeah, 2016, Andrew Miller got 8 outs against the Blue Jays in Game 5 of the LCS, and that was a clincher. So you were going to ride him for all you could because that was a Ryan Merritt start. But
yeah,
I want to say Clase rewarded Terry Francona for going with him, but that's a risky decision because if you're bringing Clase out for a third, he got off the bench for the third time or second time, I should say. And that's his third inning of work. And if Clase's control wanes and he gets into trouble and they lose that game, not only did you lose and go down 0-2, you also burn Clase for the next day. I don't think he's pitching Game 3 today, as people probably listening to this.
Yeah,
that's a big risk. So kudos to Clase for coming through. And, that's a lot of stones it took from Francona and Clase to pull that off. But,
we were talking about Aaron Boone's questionable decision. How about in the 10th where they ended up with Tim Castro playing? Like the choice to pinch run for him, which was a weird choice at the time. It just struck me. I'm like, with the way everything else was set up, but that like Tim Castro he has a skill. He's personifies quad A to me, I was like, okay, but yeah, Clase, like I said, I'll plant the flag and stay there. Edwin Diaz has the music and he's in New York and it's flashy and he's got the strikeouts, man. Who the numbers, I don't think they, I haven't done a deep dive, but I have a hard time believing anyone's been more effective at keeping guys. He gave up 2 hits in July. And he didn't he lead the league in saves and appearances? He wasn't just a closer. He was a reliever. He was out there.
I didn't see Edwin Diaz closing out the All-Star game this year. Just saying.
I didn't see Edwin Diaz closing out any games in the postseason either.
That's right.
Just to twist that. When I lived in New York, my buddies were Mets fans. I preferred the Mets to the Yankees. I'm gonna be kind. But we kind of skipped our starter, and while it wasn't necessarily as good as his first game, and like you look at the numbers and there's the walks and the hits and he actually led a lot of guys on base, Bieber after that first inning really settled in and kept this team in the game.
That cutter, man, again, the Yankees took 17 swings against his cutter. They swung and missed 11 times. It was nasty, and he threw it for 6 called strikes too. 35 times and 17 called strikes or swing and miss. That's almost a 50% rate. And for those who are wondering what that is, I know some people get mad when we talk about analytics. Sorry, this is just cool. A called swinging strike rate is like a good one is like 30%. He was almost 50% in that cutter today. So that cutter was fantastic. He missed 1 pitch to Giancarlo Stanton all day. Yeah. Struck out Aaron Judge 3 times. He got the golden sombrero again. Man, if that was not Bieber's best performance, wow, he's got a lot left in him. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Should we talk about some of the dumb Judge takes? He's going to be fine in his, here's the thing. I don't think anyone loses money in the postseason. I think people do make money in the postseason, but listen, Judge is having a rough go. It happens. Everyone has ups and downs, but teams realize 2 games are 2 games. It is interesting though. I was talking before the show that, IKF, the shortstop, his family took abuse this year because he struggled so much offensively. And I think I am most nervous when he steps in the box right now based on these first 2 games. He has been arguably their best hitter. So
do you know why you're nervous for him? Do you know why?
No.
Because he is exactly like a Guardians hitter. He doesn't strike out. He puts the ball in play. He puts the bat on the ball. He finds a way to get on base. And as soon as you get base runners, especially where he's hitting, yes, he runs well. He hits the bottom of the Yankee lineup. So if he gets on base, guess what? You might have a base runner on for Aaron Judge. That's why he scares you.
No, and I will take it. I just think he's a positive success story for them. On the other side, Cleveland, it was everyone. And that's the nice thing. Like everyone kind of got in on it. I'm like, did anyone not at least reach base? I mean, I think I think everyone reached base. The bullpen is yet to give up a run. I think I already said that, but I'm just going to say it again because they've had 2 extra inning affairs and that bullpen has been that tight. Yeah, they burned the Hydra today, as I call it, the big 3. But Sam Hentges is honestly very close to being in that group if he isn't already. And I know it's a big right-handed heavy team, but Hentges was effective against righties or lefties this year. Yes, more effective against lefties, but I mean, I believe, and I know it's, relievers, but I believe he had the lowest ERA in the second half of any reliever in baseball.
He did.
And he was that good. And yes, we missed Nick Sandlin. And it was interesting that the only pitcher up, because I was listening to it after work, unless there was someone else, they made it sound like it was only Eniel up pitching, that they were going to go to him if anything went sideways. But
Hentges was warming up with Clase initially, and then once they got out of that, when Karinchak was out there struggling, it was Hentges and Clase, and then they brought Clase in, and that was the end for Hentges today.
I assume he's going to be first man out tomorrow, just because of usage, though. I mean, because Stephan going more than an inning. Let's see how many total.
I think Stephan can give you pitches tomorrow. He threw 21 pitches, 13 for strikes. I think that Stephan probably can give you.
Karinchak was at 29.
Yeah, he's done for tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean he had 4 Clase. Okay, so just to put this in perspective, Clase went 2 1/3 innings. Karinchak went 2/3 of an inning. Clase only threw 4 more pitches.
Yeah, Clase faced 9 batters and retired them on 33 pitches. Karinchak faced 4 batters and threw 29 pitches. So, yeah, that's the efficiency. That's why Clase can do this, because he's efficient. Yeah. But, no, I think Stephan will be available in Game 3. I don't know if you're going to get 21 pitches out of him again, but if you ask him for, like, 15, I think you'd be fine. And I think
he might be the closer tomorrow.
Yes, I think so. I think you'll see.
It might be like Hentges to Clase with Eniel. I mean, those are the 3 guys I'm betting would be the 3 main out of the pen.
Yeah, I think your game plan tomorrow. I don't know if you're going to get 7 from McKenzie.
Should we take our break and come back and talk about the game plan for tomorrow?
I like it.
Yeah, there we go. So let's take our second break here. We will. My cat, old co-host, is making sure that we get that break in. He wants to jump up and say hi. We are going to take this break, come back, and discuss Game 3, a game that apparently Justin and I like more in the betting sites in Cleveland's favor. And we're back. So let's talk Game 3. You're talking about the plan. You're talking about the setup. Where do you want to start with this one?
Well, I think ideally, and Terry Francona said they don't script games out, which I kind of wonder why not, because I think you could have a plan A, B, C for how things go and how I guess it's matchup dependent. They'll match the bullpen up tomorrow on Game 3 today. People will probably listen to this. They'll match up based on the matchups, but I think I don't know if you're going to get 7 innings from McKenzie, but I think the idea is McKenzie, Hentges, and Stephan, and then if you have to, you go to De Los Santos, and maybe you use Morgan against like the bottom of the order. Like you can use Morgan against like IKF and Trevino and Bader, and then have somebody up, or have Hentges or somebody for Judge up when you get to that point. So there's enough guys available tomorrow. I think everybody except for Tyone's coming back for New York tomorrow. But let me ask you, of the guys that pitched today for New York: Trevino, Loaiziga, Peralta, Holmes, Tyone, Clark Schmidt. The only guy to me that looked like blow you away good was Clark Schmidt. I think Wandy Peralta was good because he's a lefty. Clay Holmes didn't look fantastic. No, the only guy to me that looked like scary was Clark Schmidt.
No, Loaiziga is never scary looking, but he's always effective. So like I'm scared of him just from I think he might be their best reliever right now in terms of just effectiveness. Like he's more of the Joe Borowski level of stuff, but like he's just effective. So, but it is interesting that Loaiziga and Peralta have been used in both games. Schmidt, he's the former starter, so he was another one of those guys who depending on how you want to look at it, might be a developmental success or not success story that it's a starter that's now part of their pen. I'll be curious to see how they let things play out. Trevino, I feel like, he was a top arm for Oakland, one of the 4 players they added through trades, and they only have access to 2 of them now on this roster.
He wasn't great. He wasn't great.
And I feel like he was up and down all year. So I thought, I don't understand why they went to him in that situation with the batters are coming up. I understand why they went to him in the 6th, though, hoping to maybe save some of the guys that they weren't able to save. I am surprised about Licky. I assume we'll see him tomorrow in some form. But,
yeah, you'll have to.
This is what I talked about when I talked about why a rain out could help. Like, their bullpen got 2, 4, 6 pitchers in. I don't know if any of them outside, but you got to assume the Weisenga's not going to be in tomorrow after pitching nearly 2 innings.
He threw 15 pitches. I don't see why not.
I guess
I think you can get him.
No, I guess you're right. I thought it's amazing they got through in only 15 pitches. I hadn't looked at that. Peralta was 15.
I think the only guy not coming back tomorrow is Jameson Taillon. I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll see. But the offense got into the bullpen. That's what you need to do. Yeah. I mean, that's the only way it's going to work is if you can knock a pitcher out early. And Cleveland's got to win Game 3, I think, because you've got to knock Severino out early. If it's not with runs, it's got to be pitch count, and you've got to get into the bullpen again. You've got to win, because I think you need to be up 2-1 when you have Quantrill. They haven't said Quantrill's pitching Game 4, but I can't imagine it's going to be anybody else. You do have Aaron Savali lurking out there, but I think he's got to be available for a Game 5, and you still have Plesac if you need him. But you got to win Game 3 because
forever. Like, Plesac feels like he is just there as the long man. Like, he's only there if his team
he warmed up in wild card Game 2, but. You can't. I don't think you can go down 2-1 and have to face Garrett Cole and Cal Quantrill in Game 4. I think it's another must win for Cleveland. They should have an edge in this game too.
No, I agree. I think they have the pitching edge. I think people are sleeping on how good Tristan has been, and they have the pitching edge. They need to go out there and just take control of this series, and I think they are set up to do that. And then Game 4, it's a close matchup. I mean, when you just look at there's a ton of strikeouts for Garrett Cole, but it's like Quantrill versus Cole was a 4-1 game in the end, and Cole is not the Garrett Cole of 2 years ago or even a year ago. And then Game 5, if we can get there, who knows what the Yankees are going to do. Like, that's right. After burning Taillon today. I mean, he can't be their Game 5 starter. So is it Herman, who's been up and down? I mean, this is why they went out and traded for Frankie Montas, but he's another one of those guys like Benintendi and Scott Efros, who are all hurt. All their big trades have really set them back.
Yep. I mean, Aaron Boone said, we talked about, he said he was planning on a 3-man pitching staff. The rain out changes that. So again, the rain out favors Cleveland. It pushes some back to Cleveland now. If it goes 5, I think the series might go 5, but Cleveland wins Game 3. I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, I feel good. I feel like they should. To me, Game 3 is with the pitching matchup. I think it favors them. And then Game 4, we'll have to see. But then Game 5, like I said, New York feels, and then especially like I said, if they're gonna, and I'll be curious to see by then, like what pitchers have been used heavily. Like, who are they going to be able to go to? Who is going to be available and who isn't? I'll be curious, but I feel good. Of course I do. They won, but it sets up for a very positive situation.
And if they win Game 3 and they don't pitch Clase, they're not going to be able to pitch Clase. But if you win that game, he comes back 4 and 5, ready to go both days.
Yeah.
So before we get out of here, I want to say one quick thing, Jeff, too. The Guardians, as part of the pregame festivities on Saturday, I think this is a really great touch by the Guardians. Andres Melendez, who was a catching prospect for them, passed away
last year. Right?
Yeah, tragically at a very young age. His family is going to deliver the game ball before Game 3. I think that's a very nice touch by the organization.
It's a fantastic touch. I agree. No, he was.
I didn't want to forget to mention that.
No, it's definitely, it should be mentioned. He was like early 20s, like
2021. Yeah.
2021, like very, very young. Came over from the Brewers organization, I want to say. And it was a shocking thing when it occurred. So they've, you tweeted out about it. The organization is definitely doing some, they brought in all the scouts and their families for one game. They're doing this. They're doing some things very right in terms of like showing value to the people who work there and the players in the system.
Yep. They don't forget that. So should be a good time in game 3. The crowd is sold out. They're coming home off a win. There should be some good momentum in that crowd for game 3.
Absolutely. It should be a fun game.
Saturday night. Yeah.
And we might have some midges, right?
Maybe. I don't know. Great story from Zach Meisel once again of The Athletic, crushing it. Don't want to talk about midge for creation, but yeah, you never know what could happen. I think the Yankees will be more prepared this time around, but
they're not going to probably spray the stuff that actually like, it's kind of funny to think about like just how the internet has evolved. Or nowadays, like back then they were just assumed. Nowadays it'd always be like, okay, let's look midges up on the internet. We didn't have smartphones back then, right? I don't think so. So
I don't think so. Yeah,
readily available, but
hopefully they're on full force, and hopefully Tristan McKenzie doesn't care.
Yeah, hopefully it's like Fausto, aka Roberto, just sitting there toughing it out. But yeah, it's it's kind of funny after everything else if that does indeed occur. That's our one of our bonus shows. We'll potentially do more depending on how things go in these games. But I want to thank everyone who's listening and tuning in. We're up to 749 subscribers, so thank you to our 5 newest subscribers over on the YouTube. Getting to 1,000 is huge for us, so please subscribe if you haven't. Remember to rate and review as well on the iTunes. That all helps. And it's all things you can do that don't cost you a dime, but help a podcast you might enjoy. Anything else you want to add? Or should I just say, go Guardians, go?
Works for me. Go Guardians, go.